Let's go ahead and jump into the midterms segment here. So kind of pretty big surprising news we got out of Alaska last night, which is that a Democrat won their at-large congressional seat, defeating Sarah Palin, the one and only hockey mom herself.
Pitbull.
Yeah. That's right. And we covered this before. Let me just say, I wouldn't read too much into this one because there are some very unique dynamics. The number one unique dynamic being that they used ranked choice voting. Sarah Palin, this is a special election, they're actually gonna all be on the ballot again in November. Sarah Palin got the most votes in the initial round of balloting, but she is an extremely divisive figure. So Mary Peltola, who is the Democrat, and we can go ahead and put this tear sheet up on the screen here, the Democrat defeats Sarah Palin in Alaska's special House election. Mary Peltola, who actually seems to be very good friends with Sarah Palin, and is it Nick Begich, who was the other more moderate Republican? They all seem to be very friendly. The campaign didn't seem to be like really ugly at all, which I also think is a testament to the different dynamics and incentives of ranked choice voting. She sneaks in there because she got the second highest number of votes in the initial round of balloting. And then you take the third candidate out, who was this more moderate Republican, and you then look at who picked his voters. Who did they pick second? A lot of them just didn't vote. A lot of them just picked him, and then they fell off. That was it. They weren't going through the rest of these candidates. A bulk of them picked Sarah Palin, but a significant minority picked Mary Peltola. So she ends up then with the edge and beating Sarah Palin with the ranked choice voting system. Now, again, I think the unique dynamics here are ranked choice voting, number one, and number two, Sarah Palin being Sarah Palin. Very unusual that in a congressional seat you have this kind of well-known, like nationally, internationally known, and very divisive figure. But, it does track with the trend of Democrats outperforming in these special elections. It also tracks with the trend of sort of a broader electorate rejecting. Sarah Palin was definitely the more Trumpy candidate in the mix, so it does track with that as well. The last thing I'll say about this of why, temper your enthusiasm if you're the type to be inclined to be enthusiastic about this is this term lasts like 3 months. They have to do this all again in November. So they're going to rerun for the full term at that point. It looks like things are sort of falling into place very similarly this time around. It's the same folks who will be in the runoff on the ballot next time around, so we'll see how that plays out. But pretty interesting. It's a first time in a long time a statewide seat has gone to a Democrat in Alaska.
1972, apparently.
That's a lot.
1972. So
I didn't know it was that long.
50 years. Yes, a lot to say about this. Very interesting. I think the most important one, though, is that ranked choice voting has now kind of been awoken to many people in Alaska. Personally, I think there will be tremendous pressure on Nick Begich to either drop out of the race next time around or affirmatively tell his people to put her second. And that will probably put her over the edge. But, I mean, listen, I'm a fan of ranked choice voting specifically for this reason, which is that it generally moves against the more extreme candidate. Yes, you can have a Trump-style candidate who's got 30% of the electorate locked down, but that doesn't mean that 66% of people should be subject to that person's extremism, and then people give only two choices, and then people actually get somebody who aligns a little bit more with them, if not perfectly. So,
I mean, the best argument for ranked choice voting, in my opinion, is just very straightforward, that you can just vote you get more choices. It opens up the door for potential third-party runs, and voters can actually just vote for who they prefer without having to worry about, do all this calculus of like, oh, are they gonna be a spoiler, and am I throwing the election to this person or that person? It just gives voters a chance to actually rank, okay, I like this one first, and then if not that one, then okay, we'll go to this one and we'll go to that one. And it could really open the door to having more than just the two parties to choose from. That's, in my opinion, the best argument.
It makes parties more local, because then, as we always say, a Democrat in Alaska is not the same as a Democrat in, I don't know, New York City, right? But then what happens then is that things become super and hyper-national. Well, now you could have somebody who votes green, and then they're not a Democrat. They don't want to be a Democrat. They're more aligned with the Democrat than they are green, but they can put green first, then Democrat second. They can vote for who they want. Or Or you could have
exactly the same option.
You could have a libertarian candidate who actually you may think would align with the GOP, but maybe they're socially liberal. So they have their libertarian candidate, but then they vote Democrat for the second person. They may have a more culturally Republican one. Maybe they care more about economics and then they vote culture second. So this gives more autonomy to the actual voter in the general amount of preferences. That being said, I have no doubt Republicans are going to come whole hog against ranked choice voting. They're already saying that the election was rigged and that this is a way in order to attack them. I mean, to be fair, like if you're a MAGA Republican, ranked choice voting is not good for you.
It's not good for you.
Yeah, it's not good for you because it's a minority position.
Because you have a very strong, hard base of support in the Republican Party and not with the rest of the general public. So yeah, it's not good for you, but it is good for democracy and for having more choices. And the other thing that was interesting, this race was, at least as I could tell, so civil, like so friendly. Peltola was saying lovely things about Sarah Palin, how she likes her and she respects her and they're friends and that, you know, she hopes to work together.
Right.
So that is the other part of this is in ranked choice voting, you have to appeal not just to your hardcore base of supporters, but you got to convince the other people's supporters that they should rank you second. So you don't want to piss all those people off. So it does just really change the incentives in how this all plays out. Of course, Andrew Yang and the Forward Party, they've made ranked choice voting, you know, a key part of what they are pushing across the country. That part of what they're doing, I fully support. And it really would change some of the dynamics. Alaska is not the only place that has ranked choice voting at this point. But, you know, it definitely would shift the electoral landscape and make some other things possible that currently are impossible within the two-party system.
Correct.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.